Recording is in progress. Good evening, y'all. It's Code Platoon, evenings and weekends, Foxtrot, Platoon, Module 5, Week 14, Day 2. It is I, your host, again, Jordan. I'm going to show you the rest of CRUDing and Django the way we'd like you to do it. So far, our Pokemon app's been able to get and put, and now we're going to add the create, delete aspects to this. Pretty simple, pretty easy peasy. Let's get on it. So application as of yesterday's lesson, end of day 8 branch, had some horrors from yesterday, and I went ahead and just did that. Didn't run into any of those issues. VS Code Python plugin was jank. Rolled it back a version and it stopped fighting me with the versions, or sorry, with the virtual environments. But it's here. It's ready to go. I pulled down this branch. I'm on that branch. I have instantiated my virtual environment, installed requirements, migrated, and stood up my Postgres database. So when we create something, we're technically posting something new to our databases. With that said, any type of create behavior should correlate with the post request method. Don't use other methods when you're creating. You totally could. There's no reason I couldn't change this to get. And then you send a get request with some body to a URL, it would create. It'd be fine. But you'd have a dumb, stupid API and people wouldn't really know how to interact with it. It would be as if you created a store and you gave people their receipts before they paid. I don't know. It would be weird. It would just, it would be against, what is kind of expected. You wouldn't walk in a store and say, hey, I want to sell something, and then they give you something that you pay for, right? You would say, I want to buy something. Just, like this. You don't want to go to an endpoint and say, hey, give me something and give, right? You want to say, I want to create, here's a post request, here's my stuff. It just makes the handshake a lot easier. Computers have no common sense. APIs have no common sense. We have to follow the rules. We have to follow conventions, or be a Wild West out there. So this is in fact already added, not because I did it. It's just, that's the way it is. But let's talk about this. In Pokemon app views, let's look at it. We're going to have a post request. I thought, where am I at? Am I in? There it is. Goodness. Yep, looking at the right thing. So with a post, we're not going to be sending an ID. In some of y'all's applications, we had you create in the past, you would request the user to offer an ID when they created something new. That's silly. Users shouldn't keep track of that. The application will handle that. So all you're doing is sending a post, and your request is going to have data in it. So we're going to create a new Pokemon using Django's ORM. We're going to do this. Jordan, what's this line doing here? Left or right?
Right? That's how we read?
Yeah, I mean, you can. You do it right to left. It's whatever.
So it's creating a new Pokemon variable. It's going into the Pokemon objects to create, and it's requesting the data.
Okay. What's this stuff?
I have no clue.
You've seen that before. That's quarters, keyword arguments. Yeah.
Oh,
It's just
words,
taking, yeah, it's pretty much just taking an object, mapping it to an object. That's an easy way. That's an easy way to save us from doing this, right? As an example, name, level, description. if we wanted to, if we want to keep it easy and obvious, and maybe there's reasons you'd want to do this, this would need to be something like name is equal to request.data name, right? And then we'd have to do level is equal to request.data, level. And we'd have to do that for every single field that we want from that request. Instead, this keyword arguments is saying, hey, create that object. Every keyword argument I have, map it to that object. That's all that's doing. Saving us that. From here, save, that writes to the database. Full clean. Feel like this should actually happen before then. But again, I'm rusty on full clean. So let's look it up together. Django ORM full clean. And this is, what does it do? Yep. All right, so full clean is going to whatever clean fields is. Mostly what I'm worried. Okay, so validate model fields, fine. Validate the model as a whole, validate field uniqueness, validate the constraints. It's going to go through, verify that those fields are actually fields we can use. It's a working model. It's not broken, not missing a bracket, doesn't, have something it's not supposed to have. Validate the field uniqueness, any uniques that are supposed to be unique, it's going to verify. And then any other constraints that we've laid out and decided that's generally done on the model side, it's going to check. So full clean is just run through the model, check all these things, please, and put it in the database. It's not the most, direct way to verify this model is exactly the way we expect it, but it's a pretty good, cheap, easy way to do our due diligence. New Pokemon equals JSON.load, serialize JSON, new Pokemon. We're only really doing this. At this point, new Pokemon is an instance in the database here. We need to JSON load it. This is going to serialize. Serialize just takes one type of information, one data object, changes it to a different kind of data, right? A data type is what I mean. Data type to another data type. So this data object, which exists in the database, we're basically just turning it into JSON. The reason we're doing that is so we can give it back. When we create this new Pokemon, what we're choosing to do is respond with the new Pokemon. Like I've said before, it doesn't have to be that. We could give a string back that said, congratulations, user, you created a new Pokemon. This is its name, this is its level. But this is a lazy way to do it, and also technically correct. So that's all we're doing. That's why we're loading the JSON here. Now that we have flexible well-constructed API to view, create a Pokemon, we can test it with Postman. I'm going to use Insomnia by sending a post request here with all the new Pokemon's value inside of the request data. Let's see it. First of all, I need to stop letting Python autocomplete. I need to use Bash to autocomplete. I do this all the time, and I've shown y'all how to do it before, and I'm going to talk about it again. If you hit Control and R, you can back search. The more you use this, the faster you're going to be at stuff. And this nonsense where you're hitting up arrow a million times, or what I have to do sometimes, grep for, like something like that. Look through the history, global regular expression, look for this word. If you hit Control R, this is kind of doing a grep. And as you fill it out, it's going to reverse search whatever the last things you did were. So just a nice little piece of Bash tip here for y'all who are on the terminal. Control R, reverse search. It's a little weird to look at because it kind of starts auto-populating stuff a little fast. And you're not really sure. See there, I started an MA, and it's like, oh, you want manage? And I said, well, no, I want migrate. Oh, you want migrate? Make migrations. It catches whatever you're doing. But what's down here is what I'm actually typing. Don't let this distract you. That's a tangent, but I want y'all to know how to be able to do this. Make you look, make you look hot on the terminal. It's just one little tool. So that's running. Let's open up Insomnia here. I'm going to create a Pokemans. I don't want to create a Geodude though. I want to create my favorite Pokemon. It's Kingler. I think he's sick. It's a 135-pound crab. That's terrifying. So send name, captured level, description. I had to go look this up. I didn't know anything about Kingler other than he's a big crab. And send. Look at that. It has responded. Looks like I've already put a few Pokemon in this database. I thought I had killed it with my Docker Compose, but it doesn't matter. Primary key has iterated, and this is just going to keep creating more. Fields are as we expect. Description moves. It gave us that object back exactly, the way we said. So that's a good response. Just leave that there. To test this, it actually already exists. So let's go look at it. Test views. If you wanted to test it, you could do something like this. I mean, it's going to be kind of similar to what we did with our create, but self-test, create a Pokemon. That is going to call 7. Oh, no, wait, I'm looking at delete. My bad. No wonder it looks wrong. Response is going to use self.client.post reverse all Pokemon data. Pass it in. Pokemon you want to see. Application JSON. It needs to be that, not a Python object. If the subtest, you're going to assert equal. This is pretty much just verifying the status code is a 200. And that it's not no Pokemon. So it's performing a lookup for this Pokemon. Basically, since we created a Pokemon named Geodude, this is going to reverse search through the selected Pokemon, offering it the Geodude argument. If you're feeling a little lost, remember selected Pokemon. If we're looking at our views, it's calling this. How does that get mapped to lowercase? It's right here. So if we reverse search, it's going to look up through the URL designated here, wherever the URL, points to, whatever view it's pointed at, that's what we're looking up. I know it's a little bit, I mean, you see me struggling explaining it, but it's a convention for testing Python. You're going to use the client. You're going to go to get reverse search. I don't know why it's not reverse. Probably because of what this spits out. We're not going to dig into that right now. You can follow this convention for testing. You're using the select Pokemon endpoint. You're giving the argument Geodude. We know that we can get an ID, which is a parameter, which is either going to be a primary key or a name. Geodude should look up a Pokemon. Pokemon content should not be none. We created one here. That's the test. I mean, I can run the test if you want, but it's just going to pass. Yeah. Delete. Not too difficult to understand. In fact, this might be one of the simplest endpoints there is. Easiest to understand. There's just one easy to miss step of this process. That's not really required, but you'll kind of want to see, why you do that. So, Vincent, looking at this endpoint here, let's go line by line and talk about what it's doing. So, obviously, you got a function, takes self request ID, but what's going on here?
Pokemon is getting assigned the self dot get Pokemon ID
That's
value.
right.
And
we're just
then Pokemon name is getting the name key word assigned to it, the value for that. Then you delete it, and then you return the Pokemon name was deleted.
yeah, easy peasy. Really, we could probably skip this step, but truly, and then, I mean, it even says right here, the only reason we're even establishing this variable, because once this is deleted, we're not going to be able to query that anymore. It's deleted object. So grabbing it before the delete is handy for the response. You don't have to give a response. You could just say, yeah, it worked, but that sucks. Usually want to flash a message to the screen. If not, give a response, like this. If you were working on the front end, I would want to see what's it's called a flash, right? I wish I had an example of that. Something y'all maybe what's the word I want to use? You may be inclined to use an alert, which is a pop-up when you delete something when building out a page. Alerts are pretty annoying. I don't think anyone ever is happy to see an alert show up on their page, but a flash, that would be a line. So like say we would add a banner to the top of the page saying, hey, Pokemon deleted. And then when you refresh the page or when you come back to this page, it'll no longer be there. It's just there that one time when you load the page. That's what a flash message would be. That's what you'd like to see on the front end side. On the back end side, let's just provide a string back. So we can test this endpoint that we got here. Easy peasy. Looking at this. Ignore that. It's not up to date. So we do have that Pokemon named Kingler here. We're just going to send a delete request. Oh, is it going to blow up? Oh. I'm wondering if I'm going to mess it up because I've got multiple Pokemon called Kingler. I guess it'll just find the first one, though. Multiple objects. Yeah, so that's an issue we've got with our API here. If there's more than one Kingler in our Pokemon app, that's going to be a problem. So we kind of need unique names on our Pokemon, which I thought we had set as a validation, but that's all right. We'll just delete an ID that I know exists. There we go. Kingler was deleted. I could have swore we had. No, not unique. Oh, wait. Valid name. Yeah. I mean, it's a word, but either we need to have unique names in our models or our view for delete. Actually, what is... Yeah, this is just going to get one. I forget. You wouldn't really want to, if you want to delete them by their name, you can't have unique, or you got to have unique names. If we don't want that to be an option, then for the delete function here, we just really wouldn't be able to use this this function. It would need to only accept an ID. So however we want to go about that, 99 ways to skin a cat. Testing. I'm not going to run that test again. Basically, test 7 creates a Pokemon. Oh, this is kind of cool, actually. So test 7 up here, we test that we can create a Pokemon, and it kind of rips itself down after that. Test 8, and these tests are kind of ephemeral. They don't really affect each other. Test 8 can call test 7 to create a Pokemon. It goes and pulls the name, and it pulls This isn't a really good test. I would like to see that this Pokemon specifically gets deleted and not just a name of Geodude, but basically it's creating a Pokemon by calling this test up here within itself and then deleting it, which is kind of nice. Recycle your tests if you want to. I see a lot of edge cases where this test isn't valid, right? We already ran into that. What if I created two, like, right, this here will break the test for sure. Yeah. Ooh. Anyhow, that's not our goal to fix today, but just pointing out tests, why they matter. You should be looking for edge cases. If I were to work on this application today and you said to me, there's a bug in the code. You can't delete Pokemon by name if there's multiple, names. The very first thing I would do, especially if I'm working on an application I didn't write and I'm not familiar with, I create a test first. I want to see a test fail for what I'm fixing, and then I go fix it, and then I've got a test for it. Anyhow, that's just kind of me being preachy. Any questions about creating and deleting? Just because they're maybe a little bit more straightforward than the others doesn't mean you can't come up with a question.
Do we learn Axios in the boot camp?
Axios, I think we do Axios and React. Yeah, I'm almost certain we use Axios with our React. We used to simply just use fetch and build out big old fetch requests, but I believe Axios is the course.
We didn't do Axios on our course, unless you guys changed it for this one.
What? Yeah, you didn't? I could have sworn we had Axios. I can't be recording this conversation. We'll come back to that. Personal project, API, prototype. Exactly the same thing you did yesterday. Talk to me if you feel you've got nothing to do today. It should take a little bit to kind of diagram out what you want to do, and then heck, get started on it if you've already got your ideas laid out. But again, if you're not sure what MVP means and you got an idea and you just want to run it by somebody who has an idea of how things take, time to get built, do talk to me. I can help you scope your stuff in. Everyone needs a little help with it. I needed help with it in my individual and my group project. I wanted to build something this big and it ended up being like this big, and that was plenty. Stuff can take a long time. Anyhow, all right, we're gonna stop recording. And then I'm gonna argue.